next question is, what advice do you have for new faculty to protect their research time as they begin their many new job responsibilities, such as committee work and teaching and so on?
I think in response to that, I would again echo just really knowing it's okay to focus on your research, I think is an important first step before you even get to the practical parts of when you schedule, what time of the day do you schedule your time. I learned to use my calendar. I'm still learning how to use it. I messed up today and sent an invitation to everybody on this panel to come today. But this idea of using it to actually block out time is something that I've found to be very useful. But again, knowing that that's okay, knowing that you can say to people that I really need to focus on this right now because of the position I'm in as a new faculty member, as somebody on the tenure stream, and that people are generally very understanding of that.
Yeah, so my advice is to delegate the tiddly responsibilities and to save your brain for your intellectual pursuits. And so one of the first things I did was I hired a lab manager, which is great on a startup package because there's no fringe charge to your startup package. So it's a lot cheaper to have a lab manager on a general account than it is for like a research account. So anyway, she keeps my lab clean, orders stuff, and keeps us safe in the lab. And so I don't have to think about any of that. I mean, I check it, but I don't do it on a day-to-day basis. My other piece of advice is to make every 15 minutes count. So sometimes you're between meetings and you maybe have just 5 or 10 minutes. I keep a running list of things that I need to do that are kind of short term, like respond to this email or get back to that student. And I just cross off that list when I find myself with an unexpected 15 minutes because a meeting ended. And that's how I get everything done. And so those are kind of specific, but those are things that have worked for me to help me, keep organized and keep on task.
Okay, I completely agree, or I use the same strategy about the best management of your time. For the first 2 years, I didn't do that because whenever somebody asked me, do you have time for a meeting? I looked at my calendar and said, yes, 9 o'clock in the morning, 4 p.m. in the afternoon, whatever was available, I said okay for all kinds of meetings. But I participated in a program called Faculty Success Program through the Office of Vice President. It was a 3-month summer program, and they talked about all these things, how to effectively utilize your time, and developing a habit of writing every day, regardless of whatever is going on in your lab or in your research group. So I started blocking morning times for my writing, and then doing meetings in the afternoon, and that helped so much. And there were lots of other things that they discussed. So overall, effective management of your time is very important because, as I said earlier, you will be overwhelmed with all kinds of stuff, proposals, papers, meetings, teaching, and so on. And the second thing I want to note is specifically about teaching, research, and service. When I came here in the beginning, expectation was that I had to serve on some committees, department committees, college committees, university committees probably. And I didn't know which committee to serve on, but my chair was pretty kind enough. He said, just make sure that you check the box. Find the committee that consumes the least amount of time. For example, undergraduate curriculum committee versus the computing committee. Undergraduate curriculum committee meets every other week. I served on the committee in 2017. There's a ton of work every week. The computing committee maybe meets once in 2 months or so, and there's not much going on. But I can still check the box by saying that I served on the department committee. So you have to work with your chair to find the committee that is not consume all of your time in the first, at least for first few years. And also for teaching, I taught many courses, 6 courses so far. And every semester or every year, I was teaching new course because there were a lot of changes going on in the department. That took a lot of my time. So ideally, you should try not to teach new courses every time. Try to avoid that. Otherwise, it's going to take all of your time, entire semester.
So my suggestion is when you do choose among the many things you can do to fill up your time, try to be strategic. So for example, if you're being asked to be on a lot of student committees, pick the ones that you'll learn something that will actually help you in your own research. Don't go far afield to things that don't look like they'll be helpful to you. That even holds for some service committees. So there may be some service committees, even at the college level, that you'll meet people that you could have some type of research collaboration with, but you'd like to get to know them first and that sort of thing. And then also when you're talking to your chair or director about teaching assignments, try to teach things that either build on what you already know well and that you can pull together well, or that will take you into an area you need to know. I started out as primarily a quantitative researcher, and I still do a lot of quantitative research. One of my doctoral students did a wonderful qualitative dissertation. So what I did is I volunteered to teach the first qualitative course in the department, and that got me up to par so I could do qualitative research too. So I mean, there's strategic ways to choose, and you can say no to some things, but some things actually work out well. And you can really build relationships and research collaborations or your knowledge that you need for research by those things.
Just a little bit of advice, which is in protecting time, is echoing some of the things that others have said, which is to schedule yourself first. If you're laying it all out, put you first. If you've got to do the 9 o'clock meeting, then you need an 8 o'clock time to get yourself in there, and then really use it. And make sure wherever you are working in the day that there's a specific time, a clear and scheduled time for the work that you want to do. And it can be 15 minutes or 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. You don't necessarily need the 6 hours to begin to get your writing done and your work done. Sometimes those small spaces of time, they add up to the work that needs to get done. So schedule yourself first. Also schedule your play. Make sure that's in there because you'll skip it. I would also say to not be random. And, many of us have an open door policy. That means you're open to random meetings. So if you want to protect your time, you really need to schedule meetings or have a set time where you can minimize your random meetings, right? So I have random meetings on Tuesdays from 2 to 4. Anybody can poke their head in. So that's very important, is to think about your day as a structure. If you're talking to your chair, you sound like you have a wonderful chair, but others of us may have to negotiate those relationships better. Notice that often there's a lot of work out there that suggests that women and faculty of color get overloaded often with certain kinds of service, certain kinds of committee work, and you want to be careful to protect yourself that those things are minimized. And having a conversation, communication is really key to being able to negotiate the ways in which your time gets protected. Your chair should be invested in your success. And if you are clear to them about the ways in which you can be more productive if you're doing this committee versus that committee, this kind of work versus that kind of work, or that you're really coming to them with a need that you need more protection from the kinds of certain kinds of service, that's a conversation that should be had. And you can approach your chair with that. So that's also a combination of some of the things that have been said in terms of really reading the culture of the unit that you're in and understanding and building relationships that are important that then allow you to negotiate things that protect your time and the work that you're trying to accomplish.
And I'll just briefly say that how many of you in the room have dual appointments across colleges? So there's a fair number of you all, and as you're looking at how you're spending your time, you've got an added layer of complexity here because you have different departments, perhaps different colleges and expectations. My only little word of advice is make sure that you're looking at your letters that brought you here, clarifying with your chairs or to whomever you report in your college or department their expectations for your time, because there's some real powerful and exciting things that happen when we work across disciplines and where we work across colleges, but there's some additional challenges that you all will have without, again, good communication with your leadership and mentorship on the side.